Oh, wait. Here we go. We'll do yayQuery, roll call, Alex, Paul, and then you have to say yours. All right, and then Alex, Paul, Rebecca, Adam. All right.
Got it.
Order. So yayQuery, roll call. Oh wait, is it yayQuery? Okay, Alex. All right, yeah, that's good. Yeah. yayQuery. Okay, Alex.
Paul.
Rebecca.
Adam. Yes.
All right.
Oh shit.
We shouldn't do those kinds of thing on camera when other people edit.
Come on, everybody, let's
Hello and welcome to episode 19, the 20th episode of yayQuery.
Woo!
As you... Woo! Who's psyched? We're back from... We're back, that's it. As you may notice, I have a nice green couch. I'm in an unfamiliar location. I have moved. But wait, Paul. It looks like you're like... Are you like 3 hours earlier than us now or something?
And that's a totally different
the sunlight.
plant.
Yeah.
He looks younger. He looks younger than us.
By like 3 hours.
2 hours to me, but...
Yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting how he only looks 2 hours different to you. What's going on, Paul?
I live on the West Coast now. I live in San Francisco.
What?
It's very exciting. I started my new job working at Google, even. So
Never heard of him.
They're
How do you spell that?
good.
I think it has an umlaut, right?
Yeah.
Google.
What have you done since
Paul,
you've been there?
Yeah.
I got basically right into work, and one of the things that you guys might have caught was a site we put out called HTML5Locks, resource for developers looking for HTML5e stuff to learn how it works, what it is, what's available, and how the F to do it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I like how they pulled in some of your previous work from before you were there, and they pulled in some other great resources across the net for HTML5 stuff, and they have the slides from it. Who made those slides? Those were around beforehand.
Yeah,
right?
Ernest Delgado is on the Chrome Developer Relations team,
cool.
and he put together the slides along with Marcin Winchari, and they're awesome. So we're going to keep adding to both the slides, to the site, adding more tutorials, adding more guides, and definitely want this to be a resource for people to learn how to do this shit.
Right, and I don't know if you caught my tweet, Paul, but I was actually kind of upset because you stole the name from me, because I've had HTML5Locks, but it was like an O instead of, it was like a 0 instead of an O.
Oh.
I took it a little more literally than you. I also had slides.html5locks.com. So if you guys check those out, maybe we get a screen cap of my HTML5Locks.
You guys,
keep them in my pocket.
Yeah.
You guys invested like a lot of time doing that stuff. How long would you say that you invested doing HTML5Locks, Paul?
A good, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, Alex. How long did you take on the zero derivative?
Well, so the zero rocks so I got that up about 17 minutes after HTML5Locks launched. I announced it 17 minutes later. I totally had it before that.
True.
Took you like 5.
Oh yeah, that's interesting, because I invested about 17 minutes of effort, and I just went. Well, it's not even an HTML5 site so much as it's just like HTML 5 cocks. You just check it out.
Are there really 5 cocks?
I haven't gone to this, and I'm not sure I'm going to.
It's safe for work. It's barely safe for work.
It's safe for work. It uses Ben Allman's amazing progress meter called the Peen meter, which is pretty much the best progress meter in the history of mankind. And see, now I know
my God.
Google, you guys weren't willing to like step up and like counter Apple by making your site work only in Chrome. But guess what?
True.
Who was willing to be brave and do it? Me. I didn't fucking look at Firefox. Shit looks like terrible. Okay? So HTML5 cocks for people who love Chrome.
I'm heartbroken. I was stuck in corporate America all last week and had no. This is literally the first time I'm seeing this. Wow.
That is beautiful.
Wow. That's amazing.
There you go.
We like to give to the community. We're givers.
Wait, Adam, this may be your most significant contribution to me right here.
I think you're right.
The next.
Well, wait. Oh, yeah. I think I did a good job at. Wait, what was it? That thingy we did all together like
That thing?
a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Where we all got together and
TXJS.
yeah. TXJS.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah.
It really happened.
We had a crazy lineup. You can check out TexasJavaScript.com to see who all spoke. You can also check out the speaker rate of our event. We'll link that in the show notes.
Because our speakers were amazing.
Yeah, and if you went and you didn't rate them, you should rate them because they
You should rate
appreciate
them.
that.
But all the slides from all the speakers are on the site. So if you didn't go, please just go to Texas JavaScript to pick up the slides. I re-recorded my thing as a screencast, which is cool. Check that out.
If you caught our Resig mobile episode Dreamscape, we might have some more Resig in store from you soon. But he also spoke at TXJS, and I believe there's actually a recording of it floating around the nets that we did not make. We didn't have any official recordings, but Paul Terry Wallhouse from Texas Coworking and Spring.net posted a bunch out there, so you can see a lot of those videos as well. So check those out. We also wanted to give one other shout out to our sponsors. I think Rebecca would like to
I want to say that while everybody else was watching all these wonderful talks, and they were amazing. I mean, I'm so glad for the lineup that we had. But while everybody else was watching these, I was running around like crazy, and when I wasn't running around like crazy, I was drinking mimosas. Or whatever else was at the bar, because Media Temple sponsored an open bar for us the whole day, which was kind of amazing.
And open it was indeed.
It was. I paid the bill. It was very, very open. Yes, we did justice to that open bar at TXJS. We also had Facebook sponsoring a Friday night open bar for us at the Ginger Man in Austin. We had Google sponsoring effectively a Saturday night open bar for us at Texas Coworking. Bizarre Voice sort of made the whole shebang possible. They were our presenting sponsor. Microsoft hooked us up with Ray Bango thought it was going to be like a little short bus. No, it was a full-on like 56-seat coach. So yes, thank you to our sponsors. They were awesome.
Are we going to do it again next year, Rebecca? Do we know?
Are you putting it on the spot?
Do you want to carry all those kegs again, Alex?
Yeah, I have to say that next year we're going to have an Alex carrying the kegs sponsor. So whoever wants to get on that, that's going to be a $10,000 sponsor. And that just goes directly to me. For that, right? That goes directly to me. That doesn't go towards the conference whatsoever.
Nothing,
that's about what the amount of effort I put into carrying the kegs.
We're going to pay Alex to carry the kegs and everything else that he carried. So as soon as we line that sponsor up, we'll be announcing TXJS 2011.
Paul, what's up with
next year? Oh, I was going to say. Never mind.
Oh, terrible. Next year. No, next year.
Go for it.
Next year, perhaps we will be having TXJS after the final release of IE9, because I mean, right?
When will it come out? I think they're shooting for end of year ish, like maybe. So we might see a final in like December, January. That seems to be.
So even if it's twice that long. We might still get it before TXJS 2011. What will we celebrating by this point next year?
But we certainly have quite a bit to celebrate now. So IE9 just put out their platform preview 3. Which is, it's not a beta, because it's not really a browser, it's just a little thing. And but everyone's extremely happy with the platform preview 3. It has hardware accelerated canvas. It of course has SVG.
Both CSS3
has support for all the CSS3 selectors. PPK actually just reviewed that. CSS3, it's still missing quite a bit, transitions and transforms. Basically everything that we're used to typing with a vendor prefix, they have not put in support for, with the exception of like box shadow and border radius.
They're doing those without vendor prefixes though, right?
They have not yet implemented anything from CSS3 with a vendor prefix.
Right, okay. That's kind of nifty. Which is
ballsy, but I don't really mind it.
Yeah, I think it might be the last step in moving that direction.
Yeah, but they're definitely kicking ass, and I could not. I mean, I work for their competitor, right? But I could not be even more happy that that IE9 is going to be a really good browser.
Oh yeah, and remember when we made fun of how they said we were 4 times higher on the acid test than we were, and they were at like a 32. Well. They're at an 83 out of 100 now, which is still, 10 below everyone else, but that's the biggest leap they've had so far. So I think this is the biggest set of improvements that IE had. I mean, I think since IE6 to IE8, like the platform from preview 2 to 3 is probably a bigger jump than 6 to 8. That's probably an overstatement, but I don't give a shit.
But they hope to release new previews, I think, like every 2 months, basically. So in August, in late August, we should be seeing a new set of awesomeness, and I hope it blows our minds just as much as this one did.
Right.
So Alex, what are we seeing in JavaScript land in IE9?
Yeah, so IE9 still JScript and Paul, what was the word on like detecting versions in JScript? I think you had something to say about that.
One of the big things is that so you can use conditional compilation, use the @CC on in JavaScript, and it's like conditional comments but in JavaScript. And you can query the version in that. And what's notable is that they're now syncing that version number to the browser version. So before it was like JScript version 1.6 to 1.7, and now they're just like JScript version 9. And the other important thing here is that the JScript version is consistent regardless of what document mode you're in. So if you fall back into like IE7 mode, you're in compatibility mode for IE9, your JScript will still be running in IE9 mode. So like your DOM and your CSS will be like IE7-y, but then your JavaScript will be IE9-y, and it's gonna be fun.
That sounds so awesome.
Yeah. So IE team, I know you all watch this. Fix that, or do something about that potentially. That's directly from the IE team. I think you said someone on the So that's definitely something that is not necessarily going to get fixed that we'd like it to. So Kangax, who spoke at TXJS, has a pretty awesome article on the JavaScript side of things, JScript 9, and there's quite a few pleasant changes. If you look at the compatibility charts for IE9 Preview 3, it's full compatibility for all the new functions. Now that all the functions exist, no one's exhaustively tested that they're implemented correctly. But that's better than, even Firefox 3.7 Alpha and I think Opera and all those guys. So as of right now, they implement more functions than anyone else. However, they still get quite a few of their old bugs wrong. So he goes through, we'll link the thing. His site is perfectionkills.com. But so host objects are still a pretty big issue. They don't extend from prototype, which means you don't get a lot of the methods that you need. And then testing for strings and stuff like that gets weird. But they did fix some pretty notable IE bugs, and that's like whenever you have a function expression set to a variable, and then both, one leaks out into the global space. So there's stuff with so names on IE text inputs and things like that used to throw errors if you had JavaScript globals and things like that. So
hey Alex, I want to ask you. So a good friend of mine got interviewed today, and I'm going to ask you an interview question, and it's going to be hard. Can you explain to us what host objects are?
Host objects are the objects that the browser passes you. So they're not necessarily written in JavaScript, and so like they're the ones like if you console log out, they'll say like native code. And so the host is like the objects that are passed to you, like or like the window object or array or anything like that. Is that valid?
I think that's pretty close. I don't think that you could say that all things that say native code are host objects, but
as far
as I know, host objects are the things that ECMAScript does not define. So ECMAScript will like describe the language, but then there's things that are basically up to the browser vendor to basically decide on, and it's not
navigator.
In the spec. And so that's where there can be a lot of variability. And so host objects are definitely a point where you can see things inconsistent. But,
all right.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
pretty good to know.
Alex, you mentioned that in IE9 they eliminated a bunch of IE bugs. Like, if a bug is an IE bug, but it no longer exists in IE, is it an IE bug anymore?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that was just sort of an existential question that I wanted to address.
We'll have a think on that.
But Paul didn't even contemplate it. He just said yes.
Oh, definitely it would be. But I guess at some point it transitions out. So what was an IE bug is now like a Quarks mode bug, right? And Quarks mode is totally specific to IE, but yeah. So I think things will transition out of IE bug status, but it just will take the point
years.
At which, we don't. Yeah, it'll take a while.
Are there going to be reasons to detect or sniff IE9, do you think?
Yeah.
There's certainly ways to, but in most cases you won't need to. In most cases, so what they're really aiming for is that you're going to get the exact same experience in IE9 than what you're getting in Firefox, Opera, and WebKit. So hopefully we won't need to, but in any cases where you would have to determine the difference. Microsoft has come out and said that feature detection is the right way to do things, and of course we agree with that. So that's Yeah,
I was just curious whether there was going to even be a need to sniff it anymore.
On their blog, they said, please, plan on treating this like a modern browser. We understand that before you couldn't, and now you should plan on it because it will act like one.
Yeah. So far, we haven't seen anything where you're going to have to sniff. With the exception of when you're in compatibility mode. But there is a way to detect that pretty easily.
Cool. All right, we'll move on to another big piece of news that happened a little while back, but we've been sleeping since TXJS. Sencha, EXT Foundation or whatever they are, I don't know, EXT Core International, they are now Sencha. Which is now a suite of products. So they grabbed JQTouch and, they really just grabbed David Kaneda, and none of the code's really reused. It's more just like his design mine. Yep. And they still have EXTJS, and they grabbed Dmitry Baranovsky of Raphael, and so all that is now a suite of products under the Sencha name. So their new mobile framework is pretty sweet. It's Sencha Touch from the JQTouch naming scheme, and it's nifty. There's a 7-minute video on it which would sum up more than we probably could, a lot more succinctly. It's a lot more robust than JQTouch ever was. So if you were not a fan of the native looking stuff, then definitely check out Sencha Touch.
I think right now, the reports that I've heard, I currently don't have an Android device, hoping to rectify that soon, but I've heard that their demos are not so hot on Android, which is kind of disappointing because it's WebKit Mobile just as iPhone and iPad are, and those were their target platforms. Such a Touch certainly aims to be a touch, a mobile touch framework, and I do hope that they aim for more than just Safari Mobile, because that really only like we heard from John in last episode, it really only covers a very small portion of the mobile audience. So I do hope that they start to tackle more, and I'm sure that they will. Yeah,
it's definitely in the very early stages. I'd imagine the dev on that goes through the roof at this point. Yeah. Because there's a huge need for it in the community. So.
And what's going to happen to jQuery Touch?
He officially passed it on to Jonathan Stark.
Does it still fall under Sencha, or is it going to be
no, it's its own. It's still its own project with the same code base. I'm sure I don't know if they can legally grab stuff from Sencha because that's a different license. So I think it might just be under Stark at this point.
Yeah, and I just asked Jonathan Stark, like a few days ago, if he was planning on getting support for Android and broadening out, and he said definitely. Jonathan Stark's a big proponent of the non-app store kind of make your shit work everywhere on mobile philosophy, which is super good. So Jonathan definitely wants to continue to develop jQuery Touch to make it a very broad mobile development framework, which is good.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, Rebecca.
Yes.
Didn't you like write a book or something?
Yeah, books, whatever. What's that about?
Kinda. Well, I have been doing a lot of jQuery training over the last year and a half or so, and I realized that I needed some more material, and there was more material out there, and so I took all the material that I had put together so far and released it into a GitHub repository called JQ Fundamentals. And it turns out that I had kind of thought about it as training material, but it turns out people are really turning to it as a book, and there's been a whole lot of interest in it as a book. And so that's been exciting to see, and Hacker News picked it up, and SitePoint and lots of other people. We've got translations going in Portuguese and Spanish and Russian now, and it's been kind of exciting to see it happen in the last week or so.
Yeah, it's open source too, so if you are an expert in anything and you're a good writer, submit a patch.
Even if you're a crappy writer, you can still write it and help.
Yeah, and it's actually very friendly. Just hop on the repo and check the issues list, and it basically lists out all the areas in which Rebecca wants to grow the book as far as chapters and topics, and so it's actually, if you're interested in kind of contributing to the open source knowledge base of jQuery, you can basically just pick out, like, for instance, one of the things that Rebecca wants to add is, like, what does the $ mean? Like, what does the jQuery object do? Like, is it magic, right? So it'd be great to get someone to come and write about that and explain it.
I know it isn't magic. That was just a rhetorical question.
No, it's magic.
So
it's totally magic.
Why would you give this away for free? You've got something, I don't know. Someone asked me that, and I'm asking it.
No, a lot of people have been sort of mystified by that, and I'm still, I don't know, about
you don't know.
every other hour I'm a little bit mystified by that too. I mean, largely because there's more content that I want and I can't write it, and I wanted help from the community to add to the content and add to the knowledge that's out there. But also, ever since I met you guys on the jQuery IRC channel, I've been watching people use jQuery without training, and the things that people do with jQuery without somebody telling them not to do those things,
they're unspeakable.
Are really, really terrible.
They're unspeakable.
So I just want there to be this resource out there for people to read. And I've been surprised, like, people who I consider to be pretty good at jQuery have said to me, like, oh my god, I didn't know such and such. So, there's actually stuff in there that you might not know, even if you think you know jQuery really well. So yeah, check it out.
Next, I think it might be time for a segment that we like to call the plugin of the week. It's the plugin of the week, and it's really, really great. It's the plugin of the week. Yeah! The plugin of the week this week is jQuery Validity. jQuery Validity is a form validation plugin. It has an API that is very unlike the jQuery validation plugin, and it's very, very chainy. It has a lot of methods that it adds onto the jQuery namespace. So, for instance, if you want to say that that this should only be a number, you grab the element and you call number, and then you call the required method, and then yeah.
Wait. I feel like I'm being sold a bill of goods. If I have to call the number method if I want a number, and the date method if I want a date, and the rabbit method if I want a rabbit, like, it sounds like you're just, treating the jQuery object like a, like a $3 whore.
Yeah, and we are. And that's great. And it makes it really nice, for instance, when you have, like, a lot of things that are required, and you can just, like, make them all required in a heartbeat, and not repeat required in your configuration or your HTML like the other plugin. So it's a very different way about thinking about this approach, and I think it's really cool.
I think it's neat, but I think that the standard require plugin by Yorn is it's a little bit harder to get up to speed on than this one is, perhaps, but I think it's pretty powerful.
I agree. No,
we shouldn't knock that one.
You have to make a decision between the two, but I think that this is a good contender.
For sure.
Right.
Gorgeous. One of the best branded plugins I've ever seen. Yeah. I love it.
It is
cute,
very nice.
Cute little logo.
Yeah.
And everything.
Adam, what's up with TraceKit? Snover, the guy who edits our podcast, put out some pretty sweet stuff. What do you know about that?
What do I know about TraceKit? Let's be honest, minimal amounts.
Adam, you want me to take this?
I'll what's it called? I know that it is based on the hard work of Andrei Tarantsov, and like Andrei's a great guy. We chill all the time, drink beer, carouse with women. But I would think, Paul, why don't you tell us more about what's going on?
TraceKit is basically a library that helps you create with the stack traces from an exception. So you throw an error, and you can basically find out where all the functions called that led to that point across the browsers, get the line number at which the problem occurred on. And so Colin has basically identified all these the way that browsers handle this is completely not specified, and there's no standard way to do it, and so they all handle it different ways. So TraceKit kind of normalizes the entire thing. It even has a nice jQuery integration, so if something throws an error, it basically plugs right into this, and so you can catch your errors and kind of debug them in a much more sane way.
Very sweet. All right, I think we're going to do the hidden...
They're hidden enhancements.
What?
The little tiny things you never thought you'd see.
Oh.
That was so wrong earlier.
Oh, hidden enhancement, what? Hey-oh.
Hidden!
Okay. This week's hidden enhancement is the event constructor. Didn't know it existed earlier? Well, now you do. var event equals new jQuery.event, capital E because it's a constructor. You can throw at anything. What's it good for? Nobody knows. What's next, Adam?
Nobody knows. Oh, okay, so we got a question from our friend Corey Dorning using this Twitter. And as soon as I found out what that is, I was like, that's a good question. So Corey asks, do you consider the use of return false instead of event prevent default and stop propagation as an anti-pattern? And I think we all agreed that the answer to that question was a resounding no.
No.
Yeah.
So, okay, it was 3 resounding no's and a meh.
and why? Yeah, we should probably explain why.
Yeah.
There's kind of a return false in jQuery has two implications, and this is unique to jQuery. It means both prevent default and stop propagation, and you just have to know that from reading the docs or if you only want one of them, you just call event.preventDefault or whatever. But if you, most of the time, you probably only want to do prevent default and you don't really care about stop propagation, but it's much shorter to just type return false. And
I guess that I'm not saying that return false is an anti-pattern. It's not. It's, use it when it's appropriate. But I do think that saying prevent default up at the top of your function is clearer than saying return false at the end of it. And
well, maybe you don't care.
And you have to know JavaScript to know that return false has that effect. But
you have to know JavaScript.
Actually, you don't have to know JavaScript. You have to know jQuery. I think that's why he might have wondered why it's an anti-pattern, because it's sort of it's kind of it's an insider piece of knowledge in a sense. Everyone knows it except for that everyone who doesn't know it doesn't know it. So you see a whole click handler and then it's return false at the end. What is it returning false to? It's not really explicit, and I think that's maybe why Corey asked his question.
Yeah, so I think there's nothing wrong with prevent defaults if you notice, or prevent defaults. I think there's nothing wrong with return false is what I'm trying to say. But I personally prefer prevent default and stop propagation. If that's what I mean, then I like to say that explicitly. Even though, yes, it's longer, I know.
The other downside of the longhand of calling both is that propagation, fuck, I misspell that all the time. I go I always go propagation, and then I wonder, and then I realize.
I always thought it would be nice also if you could chain methods. Imagine if a prevent default returned the event object again.
Yeah.
I always wish you could do that. But
that'd be so useful.
That would be hot. That would be nice.
Actually.
I wanted to bring up an important issue that I realized was an issue today when we were discussing this earlier, was that, I've definitely been guilty of this before in the past, but people using stop propagation or return false, and then whenever something doesn't work the way they expected it to, the first step is, well, stop propagation didn't work, maybe I'll just have to use stop immediate propagation, and that's a stronger stop propagation. That's not actually true.
No.
But maybe it would do what you want. But the difference between stop propagation and stop immediate propagation is stop propagation stops anything that it would be bubbled to. So elements above it in the parent tree, those event handlers would not be called. Stop immediate propagation stops anything else that's attached to that event on that specific element. So
I've commonly thought that
horizontal versus vertical.
Right, I've commonly thought that propagation sounds very lateral, it sounds kind of horizontal. Where I think that it should have been stop bubbling, and then stop propagation would be essentially stop immediate propagation. But
why couldn't they just call it stop other similar events?
No, it's the same event. It's the same event. It's just multiple handlers. Stop other handlers.
Stop other event handlers for this thing.
But you don't actually. It's hard to know unless you actually look at the way you've attached the events, which ones you're stopping. Because if they've already run and then you get to your function, you might not be stopping anything. So the order in which they're attached can make a big difference. So if you're having bugs there, attach them in a different order.
So Alex, do you have an analogy for us that includes a mom and her kids in the car?
No, I don't.
Oh God, no. I think the mom and kids in the car analogy is definitely not. No. I honestly, God, I had this weird dream about this mom, and it's she was in the kids with the car, and she was yelling at them, and I thought
this dream, Adam, this dream's really interesting and everything, but honestly, we'd really like to hear the end of the dream that you had last episode, because we never really got to finish that. Is that okay?
The one about the dinosaurs? And the end of the world with the martini glasses?
No, right before that dream.
Oh, John Resnick dream.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome. It ended, so basically,
So let me ask, as far as this whole Microsoft partnership, which has been really interesting to hear about, like what is Microsoft offering, and is there any sort of
Candy?
Quid pro quo?
But that was not my word. I did not say quid pro quo. But how does the jQuery project perceive this Microsoft partnership? Is there going to be, I did not say quid pro quo, but is there going to be any sort of, what's a good word here?
Something not in Latin?
Sexual relations?
With other projects like jQuery, corporations have certainly provided support and staffing. Are we going to see something like that with Microsoft and jQuery?
I got a little confused there.
I stumped him. No, I just
Nope.
I just really
You wound a circuitous web of words is what you did.
I did. Okay, so two questions. One, first question is...
What is the question?
No. The first question is, can you explain the relationship between Microsoft and jQuery? And the second question is Microsoft going to be providing any sort of staffing on the jQuery project, either financially or in actual people?
Okay, so our relationship is that Microsoft is a user of jQuery, and not only a user. I mean, they use it on Microsoft.com, MSN.com, all over the place. But additionally, they ship it as part of Visual Studio. And so all their developers are using jQuery as well. So we aren't treating them special in any particular way. We're treating them like any other member of the jQuery community. If other community members come along and propose new plugin ideas, new features ideas, we're absolutely open and listening. And so what they've been doing is they've been a very good member of the jQuery community. They've been doing exactly that. They've been providing code, doing proposals, and doing it in the exact way that the community works. So they've been posting their code to GitHub and asking for community feedback and receiving patches and releasing all their stuff under the licenses that we require. And so this is just it's been great working with them. And I mean, we treat this no differently than from if you, Rebecca, if you wanted to contribute, you would be going through the same exact process.
Yeah, I noticed. I was going to say, it's just like it was like almost like Microsoft was unmasked, because a lot of the guys from Microsoft were just kind of, Stephen Walther. You didn't really know that they were from Microsoft until they kind of were like, oh, by the way, we've been working on this at Microsoft. So it was kind of nice to see that kind of open source vibe, just chilling.
Yeah. It's a very different world for them, but it's something that we can actually lend our weight to and help and push them in the right direction, because they really, really like jQuery, and so we can help to get them on the right track. And they're really excited about it, and they're so far they've just been great to work with. I was going to say, just to answer the second question real quick, the staffing question. So they won't be explicitly providing team members per se. I mean, they're paying some of their employees to work on jQuery plugins that they want to see. And that's fine. There are a number of companies that work on plugins. Like, Twitter has jQuery plugins that they release. Dig has jQuery plugins that they release. So, I mean, this is really no different from other companies doing similar things.
John, I wanted to ask you a question.
What's that question, Paul?
It's not really, actually, it's more of I want to ask, I want to request something of you. John, recently at the JSConf, we had a lunch spectacular, and we had this game show with all these trivia questions about JavaScript.
Were you there?
Were you there?
I
Okay.
think so. I think it was the other time.
No,
You were drinking beer at the bar. It's okay.
So, John, I'd like to ask you, if you would, could you name 10 reserved words in JavaScript for us, please?
Well. So.
We did not know about this, John.
I didn't even know that so was an operator in JavaScript.
Okay, so.
Okay, so clap!
Const, for, while, var, do, const, for, while. How many is that now?
5.
Already. 5, all right. All right, well, let me think. There's float. There's the carryovers. Is int one? But float definitely is. All right, so I'll hold off. Float definitely is.
Yeah.
And the other 4. Wow.
So many.
Function.
Yeah, 3 more.
Just trying to think of code. 1, 2, 4. If, else, maybe, and what's one more? Are there 10 total, or there's
way more than 10.
Oh no! All right.
Finally, the last one would be. I just gave him a big.
Probably try. Try. Finally catch those.
Okay, now we're in the bonus.
Well done.
So guys, John has proven that he knows JavaScript.
There we go.
So you spoke about dependency management a bit at JQCon. We also know that Require.js was just released, the newest version, 0.11. What should jQuery users be doing for dependency management and loading? Because everyone wants to be loading as fast as possible, and we also want to be loading as best practices-y as possible.
So, I mean, if you want to use something like Require.js, that's totally fine. And you know, it's a great library. So what we're working on, or what we sort of see as a solution here, is actually much simpler in scope. So we've been looking at the issue of doing script loading, and especially script loading that is loaded both asynchronously and in parallel. Those are the 2 important things. On top of that, it's a good practice to be loading those scripts from a remote domain, probably like a CDN. So in the ideal case, we would be providing hosting for jQuery and jQuery plugins on a central server, and you would be able to dynamically load those plugins using this script loader. So to do this, I mean, like, GetScript gets you most of the way there, in that it loads the scripts asynchronously, but it doesn't run them in serial. So it doesn't run the first script, and then the second script, and then the third. It would just run them in whatever order they come back, which is unfortunate. So it's really something that is tricky, because what happens is that you can no longer use the traditional script injection techniques that we use to do like GetScript in jQuery core right now. And so what we have to do instead is that we actually have to provide a wrapper that you should put around your script files that will delay execution until the full code comes back. And that way you can execute the code synchronously from a remote domain. So in the end, we're only going to have to add 1, maybe 2 methods to jQuery core. Some sort of require statement, maybe, and something that says execute this in an explicit order, essentially what the require would do. And then some sort of statement that says provide or something related to that. So that you can say, all right, this file provides this particular set of functionality, and it depends upon these other sets of functionality. And in that way, we would be able to actually do asynchronous, parallelized, and then serialized execution of scripts, which is the holy grail, and what we should be shooting for, absolutely. So this is something we're working on, and hopefully we'll be able to get something out here pretty soon.
All right, that was an awesome dream recap, Adam. We appreciate your level of detail, and I felt like I was there. But we wanted to close, and we wanted to thank our sponsors, which are TinyCDN, for all your content delivery needs. That's totally not their slogan. But we say that every week.
Their slogan.
It's going to be their slogan now.
Yeah. So we'd also like to thank we'd like to thank Zeta Fleet, actually. Colin Snover edits yayQuery now, and he's officially a sponsor. So for your consulting needs, jQuery and the like, contact Colin Snover at zetafleet.com. And what was the expression engine site that sponsors us?
Devotee.
Devotee for sure. He's actually doing some pretty sweet stuff. Ryan Masuga has put a lot of cool stuff into that site, and you should check it out. They've got a whole store for expression engine stuff now. So cool. We'd like to wish you a happy 4th of July. Independence Day. If you're American, and we'd like to wish you a haha, we won to any of the Brits out there.
Okay, A, can I make a point? A, we should probably be wishing people a happy Labor Day at the rate we go. And B, it was a draw.
Oh, I wasn't talking about the soccer game. I was talking about the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's true.
Anyways, we hope you guys have some great jQueries this week, and we love you. Okay, bye.
Bye.